Samurai vs. Samurai, 4 legendary rivalries in Japanese history. The Sengoku period of Japan was an age of chaos, ambition, and endless war. It was a time when rival warlords clashed, not only for land and power, but for honor, survival, and eternal legacy. In this story, we will uncover 5 legendary rivalries that shaped Japanese history. Dragons, tigers, peasants who rose to power, and warriors who refused to surrender. This is not just history, it is the ultimate tale of samurai versus samurai. Episode 1, Uesugi Kenshin vs. Takeda Shingen, the Dragon and the Tiger. In the 16th century, 2 of Japan's greatest warlords faced each other again and again. Uesugi Kenshin, the Dragon of Echigo, a man devoted to the god of war, Bishamonten. And Takeda Shingen, the Tiger of Kai, a brilliant strategist and feared commander of cavalry. Their rivalry reached its peak in the battles of Kawanakajima. For years, their armies clashed in the plains between their provinces. The most famous battle came in 1561, when Shingen's army of 20,000 met Kenshin's 12,000. In the chaos of war, legend says Kenshin himself rode straight into Shingen's camp, charging on horseback. Wielding his sword, he struck directly at Shingen, who defended himself with only an iron war fan. The image of the dragon slashing at the tiger, blocked by a simple fan, became one of the most iconic moments of the Sengoku era. But despite all their battles, neither could destroy the other. They fought to a standstill, locked in endless struggle, earning eternal respect as true rivals. The dragon and the tiger, 2 forces of nature, destined to clash, yet destined never to truly defeat one another. Episode 2, Toyotomi Hideyoshi vs. Tokugawa Ieyasu, from ally to rival. Toyotomi Hideyoshi began life as a peasant, mocked as the monkey servant of Oda Nobunaga. But through brilliance, loyalty, and ambition, he rose to become the ruler of Japan, the great unifier. Tokugawa Ieyasu, by contrast, was born into a samurai family, a hostage as a boy, and a patient strategist as a man. Their paths crossed again and again, sometimes as allies, but always as rivals in ambition. After Nobunaga's death in 1582, Hideyoshi moved swiftly. He crushed his enemies and claimed authority in Nobunaga's place. Ieyasu, however, refused to submit so easily. At the Battle of Komaki and Nagakute in 1584, Hideyoshi's vast army faced Ieyasu's smaller but disciplined forces. The fighting ended without a decisive victory, and both men understood, neither could be destroyed yet. Eventually, Hideyoshi brought Ieyasu into alliance, recognizing his power. But even as Hideyoshi ruled Japan, Ieyasu waited in the shadows, patient as ever. He knew that Hideyoshi's greatest weakness was time itself. When Hideyoshi died in 1598, leaving behind only a young son, Ieyasu made his move. Within a few years, he would seize the title of shogun, ending the Toyotomi line forever. Their rivalry was not just about power. It was a clash of personalities: Hideyoshi, the brilliant opportunist who rose from nothing, and Ieyasu, the patient strategist who built a dynasty that would last over 2 centuries. Together, they shaped the destiny of Japan, not as friends, but as rivals whose ambitions could never truly align. Episode 3, Sanada Yukimura vs. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the last stand at Osaka. Among the countless samurai of the Sengoku era, one name shines brightest in the shadows of defeat: Sanada Yukimura, often called Japan's greatest warrior. Though his real name was Sanada Nobushige, history remembers him by the name Yukimura, the hero who stood against impossible odds. His rival was none other than Tokugawa Ieyasu, the man destined to unify Japan under the shogunate. By the early 1600s, Ieyasu's power was unmatched. Yet the Toyotomi clan still resisted, gathering their final hope within Osaka Castle. And at the heart of their defense stood Yukimura. During the siege of Osaka in 1614 and 1615, Yukimura's brilliance became legend. He built the Sanada Maru, a fortress within a fortress, and repelled wave after wave of Tokugawa attacks. Even with fewer men, his strategies outwitted the shogun's armies, striking fear into Ieyasu himself. In the summer campaign of 1615, Yukimura led a desperate charge at the Battle of Tennoji. Wounded and exhausted, he cut through Tokugawa lines, reaching within sight of Ieyasu's command post. The shogun, it is said, trembled at the thought of defeat by this single warrior. But the numbers were overwhelming. Yukimura was eventually surrounded. Before his death, he is said to have declared, "I have done my best. Let me rest now." And with that, the last flame of Toyotomi resistance was extinguished. Even in defeat, Yukimura's legend grew. To this day, he is remembered as the samurai who dared to challenge the unshakable Tokugawa Ieyasu, a rival whose courage still echoes in Japanese history. Episode 4, Date Masamune vs. Central Power, the One-Eyed Dragon. Our final story is about Date Masamune, the fearsome warlord known as the One-Eyed Dragon. Blinded in one eye as a child, he turned his scar into a symbol of power, wearing a fearsome crescent moon helmet that struck terror on the battlefield. Masamune rose in the north of Japan, building his domain in Sendai. Ambitious and cunning, he expanded rapidly, but found himself caught between two giants, Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu. To survive, Masamune played a dangerous game of loyalty and rebellion. When Hideyoshi summoned him to campaign against the Hojo, Masamune delayed his march, arriving late, as if testing the great unifier's patience. Later, under Tokugawa rule, he balanced submission with independence, strengthening his northern domain while keeping his eye on greater ambitions. Masamune's rivalry was not one great battle, but a constant struggle with central authority. A question of how far a regional lord could go before being crushed by Japan's new rulers. Unlike Yukimura, he survived, adapting to the age of the Tokugawa shogunate. Yet his image as the One-Eyed Dragon, always restless, always dangerous, has lived on for centuries. Conclusion. From the dragon of Ichigo clashing with the tiger of Kai, to the peasant Hideyoshi rising against the patient Ieyasu, to Yukimura's doomed last stand, and Masamune's defiance against central power. These rivalries defined Japan's Sengoku era. They were not simply wars of swords and armies. They were battles of ambition, loyalty, betrayal, and survival. Samurai against samurai, warlord against warlord, each struggle left scars that shaped Japan's history. Even today, their names echo as legends. Kenshin and Shingen, Hideyoshi and Ieyasu, Yukimura and Masamune. Rivals who turned history into epic tales. And now we ask you, which of these legendary samurai do you think was the greatest rival of them all?